So third degree is this here. And I'll give you the textbook version of it, and then I'm gonna tell you my interpretation. It deals with the snapshot in Minnesota. Whoever without intent to effect the death of any person causes the death of another by perpetrating an act eminently dangerous to others and evidencing a depraved mind without regard for human life is guilty of murder in the third degree and may be sentenced or imprisoned no more than 25 years. The thing that worries us so much about that is like Amber Geiger, first degree murder charge, but they give her 10 years because Texas say it fluctuates. And so this guy not to be charged with first degree murder means that a judge, even once he's convicted, can come and say, well, he has no criminal history. This is the first offense. We're going to give him 5 years, or we're going to give him 10 years. Where we know if Van did that, Van would get life in prison.
So I know you got to go, but I got two questions for you. There has been some recent developments that this officer was an undercover officer and worked in the same place that Floyd worked. So there's reason to believe that he knew who George Floyd was. What can you say to that?
Everything that the family has been informed, not only by the owner, but also people who worked at that club with George, everybody called him Floyd, said that Floyd was the security guard and Derek Chauvin, the police officer, was an off-duty police officer doing security at the same club at the same time. So the likelihood they knew each other is very great.
If they find out that they did know each other, is there and there's evidence of it, is there a possibility for those charges to be up to some sort of first degree premeditated?
Yeah, and P. Frank Williams asked that same question, can the charges be upgraded? Absolutely. They can always upgrade the charges based on the evidence because pleadings in any case, whether criminal or civil, can always be upgraded or amended to be consistent with the evidence. And so if the evidence say they knew each other, it could be upgraded. If the evidence says it was a conspiracy when they put out that false police report, it could be upgraded. If the evidence say once we hear the body cam audio that they had and what they were saying, Van and Aida, if it says where they making some off-color remarks, then they could be not only upgraded to felony murder for all those other officers in first degree for Chauvin, but also it could be a matter of a hate crime because it's going to be very interesting what they said, Van, when they had the knee on the neck. Because they were communicating with each other in the course of those 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the other question that I have. What about the other 3 officers being charged? Why haven't they been charged yet? And what is going on with that?
You know, the family statement, I want to be clear. This is a strong Black family. They keep it real. And when they do interviews, I tell the producers, Van, I say, hey, these people grew up with George. They slept in the same bed. Y'all know how it is for Black people and brown people with our existence in the world. We oftentimes grew up where we shared the bed with our brothers and sisters. And so literally, they took somebody from them that from when some of them was born, because he was older than Phalonis and Rodney. And they all 3 said they were poor. They from the hood. They all slept in one bed together. Man, he said, I thought about how my brother would always make sure I was in the middle so I wouldn't fall off the bed. That's what Rodney said, his younger brother. And now to watch him do that, when Rodney and them giving interviews, they just talk about it like it's real. And so they said from the beginning, they expected first degree and they want first degree. They are not content with third degree. They don't want this guy getting out anytime in his lifetime.
So the other thing that I wanted to say was, and I know you got to go, Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez released her own quote about this. And she said that the reason why a lot of these politicians, I'll just say it, a lot of politicians are scared of the political power of the police. And that's why changes to hold them accountable for flagrant killings don't happen. That in itself is a scary problem. We shouldn't be intimidated out of holding our people accountable for murder. So how much of that are we dealing with when it comes to witnesses? Because I know from the Sagan Penn case in San Diego, there were a lot of issues with police intimidation. And I know you got to go, but I just think people need to realize what these witnesses and people are up against when you speak out against law enforcement within your community.
You know, we were with Rock Nation talking about trying to have systematic responses, no matter if it's a high profile killing or it's just somebody who we will never hear of killed by the police. And the reason why we got to do that, Ada, is literally this here. People who get power, they didn't get afraid to lose their little power for some reason. So they don't go against the police killing. We got to show them that justice is dangerous to deny us justice as it is to hold police officers to justice. And until we get to that point, the politicians won't do what Martin Luther King said, and I'll say this and then I will go. Because it's so appropriate when you think about what she said in that quote. The coward really does ask the question, is it safe before they act? And then, you know, then expediency asks the question, is it politically correct? Vanity asks, is it popular? But you got to have politicians who say, conscience asks, is it right? And we got to have politicians who say, no matter what, I want to do what's right. And yeah, the racist, conservative people are going to come after me. The police union going to come after me. But good people, and I still believe it's more of us than them. And I want the white outrage to join in with the community of color expressing the outrage that was seeing Breonna Taylor executed in her own apartment, Ahmaud Arbery killed jogging while black, and then George Floyd killed just breathing while black. We got sleeping while black, jogging while black, and breathing while black. And they talk about a coronavirus pandemic. We have been living on a pandemic, that is called racism and discrimination.
Well, I appreciate you, Ben. I thank you so much for joining me. I know you have work to do and you got to go deal with the family. So we send you with grace and, you know, I commission the angels over you daily. So be safe out there and I'll call you later.
I love you, little sister. Love you, baby.